All right, welcome back. Today we're going to look at the last part in the lesson 2 drawings posted on Canvas. This part looks pretty simple, but it actually has some complexity built into the fact that it gets into some of the issues that you can run into when making these circular and linear patterns. We'll get into that a little bit more when we go to do the last part of this, but let's go ahead and start by drawing the central shaft of this glenohumeral cavity reamer. Again, all the units are inches, so let's go ahead and create a new part. Click on OK, and I'm going to make sure my units are in inches. I'm going to start by drawing in the top plane. I'm actually just going to draw the circular cross section of the center of this shaft. So this starts with a really easy sketch. And then this has a radius of, or diameter of 0.25 inches. So I'll put in the smart dimension, and we want a diameter of 0.25 inches. I'm going to accept that. And then to make the shaft, I actually want to extrude this in two different dimensions. So going to extrude boss base, I'm going to select direction 1 and direction 2. Direction 1 I'm going to call the top, and direction 2 I'm going to call the bottom. And if you look at our sketch, this thing comes up 0.75 inches up and 1 inch down. So let's make the first direction 0.75 inches, and then the second direction 1 inch. I'm going to accept that. So that becomes the central shaft, and if I want to add that rounded top, all I got to do is add a fillet to the top of this bar. So click on the top edge, and make that radius 0.125. Accept that, and then I get that nice rounded top. So that becomes the central shaft of this reamer. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw the donut-shaped bar that goes kind of around the edge of the cutting blades. So come back to the top plane, and we want to draw a little donut shape. So first let's go normal to the cutting plane, or normal to the sketching plane. Zoom out a little bit, and then we're going to do two concentric circles. So just starting from the origin, pull one out, go back to the origin, and then pull out another circle. And then if we look at our drawing sheet real quick, we find that the inner circle has a diameter of 1.3 and the outer circle has a diameter of 1.5. So we'll go into Smart Dimension. Dimension the inner circle has a diameter of 1.3, and then the outer circle has a diameter of 1.5. That looks good, so I'll accept those. And the next thing I want to do is create a sketch, or sorry, not create a sketch, create an extruded boss. So I'll click on Extrude Boss, and I want to make sure the height of that matches my drawing. So the height of this is just 1.3. So I'll say 1.3. Oops, sorry, 0.13, not 1.3. So 0.13 inches. I'll accept that. And we have that. Now the next thing we need to do is we want to add one of the blades of this, and then we want to make that into a pattern. And then we're going to get into some kind of the difficulties there. So go back to the top plane, and I want the blades of this, I'm going to go normal to the top plane again. I want the blades of this to actually have a rounded edge on them, just like the outer ring there. So I'm going to use the Convert Entities tool to make sure I get that rounded edge. So I'm going to use Convert Entities, and I'm just going to select the top, or the outer circle, and then click Accept. And then I'm going to draw a box from the origin up, all the way up until I go just past that top circle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim away the top part of this and this top line. And then all I have to do is add the thickness of the blade. And again, if we look at our drawing sheet, that thickness should be 0.1 inches. So 0.1. And then that'll do for the blade. This actually, oh, sorry. Let's go back into there and sketch. We actually make sure we gotta trim off all the excess material here too. So let's trim off all of the rest of that circle from that converted edge, and then we can accept that. Now if we want to go here, we want to extrude that. I'm actually going to extrude this blade to the maximum height of the angled blade here. So this extrudes to a height of 0.5 inches. So I'm going to go to 0.5 inches. Then I'm going to accept that. And then I want to add the the kind of the cutting edge of the blades, which is going to have two chamfers, the first of which being a, oops, sorry, that's the wrong one. Let's close that one. The first of which is a 0.625 by 15 degrees across the long edge, and the second which is a 1.25 times 15 degrees across the relief edge. So the long edge being kind of this edge here. So let's go ahead and chamfer that. So across that edge, I want this to be 0.625, 0.625. And again, so it's going down. I'm going to flip the direction of that. So that's going across this way, and I want it to be 15 degrees. So notice it creates that nice cutoff. The reason I want to use the chamfer tool like this, especially with this rounded edge, is that you notice how the contour lines are going straight down. This is going to make sure that this is going to have a nice conical shape on it after the chamfer is done. So let's accept that. So that looks pretty good. And then I wanted to do across the relief edge, which is going to be the back edge, that chamfer again, oops, sorry, not affiliate, with a 1.25 and 15 degrees. So click on this back edge, and I just want to change this to the 0.125. And that should give me my nice cutting edge. Now here's generally where we usually start coming into problems with this, because we want to pattern this all the way around our object. But what's going to happen is when we go to do the circular pattern, we're not going to be able to get the features to pattern appropriately because the chamfers are actually going to interfere with each other when there's too many of these parts. So let's go ahead and just take a look at that and see what happens. So I actually want 5 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Circular patterned. And I want to pattern the boss extrude 3, chamfer 1, and chamfer 2. And let's go see if that accepts it. Oh, took it right off the bat. Good. Maybe they could have fixed this from the other version of SolidWorks. A lot of times what you'll see happen when you do this kind of thing is that the chamfers will overlap and then they won't let you go through and complete that. That may have been a feature that they fixed in the newer version of SolidWorks, but since it worked out fine, we can just go ahead and take that. That is our part. If you try and do a circular pattern or some kind of pattern and you find that it doesn't work, one option that you can always try is trying using this geometry pattern as opposed to using the feature pattern. And a lot of times that'll work. It's not going to let me do it here. Feature could not be patterned using the geometry pattern, deselect geometry pattern. So sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes it works as a quick fix. All right. That's it for this lesson. Thanks for watching.